some ESPN Chicago 1000 hosts suggest or ask the question, could Justin Fields be cut by the Chicago Bears? We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're also going to look at the fact that the Bears missed out on Danielle Hunter and why, considering how that contract worked out, is maybe not the biggest miss by the Chicago Bears. We're also look at how the Chicago Bears have so far kind of played out the contracts in free agency. And we're going to look at the top remaining free agents left that the Chicago Bears could be interested in. We're going to get into all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go and get into this content. So, Justin Fields is, of course, the topic kind of on back on everybody's minds. Like, wondering, have the Chicago Bears missed out on an opportunity to move Justin Fields, or just that there's no interest there? Some even on ESPN 1000 asking, could Justin Fields be outright cut, or the Bears just trade him for whatever's left? We'll play that clip here in a second. But the valid question that people are asking is that, has Ryan Poles sat on his hands so long, if he does plan on moving Justin Fields, to where now that value has been gone, mainly because of other people, other teams filling their veteran QB holes with players like Kirk Cousins and Ryan and Russell Wilson going places and things like that? That valid question is there, right? And that's even if the Chicago Bears plan on moving Justin Fields. Again, I like to talk about things from every angle. That's why I'm throwing that's why I'm even talking about this subject. But there is that chance, right, that the Chicago Bears could be looking to hold on to Justin. There's also the chance that the Bears could still be looking to, or could be holding on to Justin until they complete their evaluation of Caleb Williams. But the question that many people are asking is that if that's what you're doing, if you're waiting on that full evaluation, if you're waiting to that pro day, have all your options whittled away to kind of move Justin Fields? Now, I know there are going to be people absolutely in the comments of this video in the section saying, well, that's because the Bears aren't moving Justin Fields. And you're valid in feeling that, right? This isn't one of those things of saying you're wrong if you look at it this way, you're right if you view it this way. It's just kind of reviewing the scenarios that could be happening here with the Chicago Bears. If the Bears are completely wowed by Caleb Williams, as many people in the national media will have you believe that it's a foregone conclusion that Caleb Williams is going to be drafted by the Chicago Bears, which I don't have my gotta have the lights on, right? But there are many people thinking that that's a foregone conclusion. You still, evaluating those assets. People are asking now, are you just waiting too long to do it, Ryan Poles, to where now that value isn't going to be there? Here's what I'll say to that. If the value wasn't there, then the value wasn't there. It's not going to be just because of Justin Fields holding on. Now, don't get me wrong. Some teams absolutely can say, well, we can't wait on the Bears to do whatever they're going to do, even if they were in on Justin Fields. But I truly believe that if those teams were down on Justin to where it is, that's what it was going to be anyway. And so Ryan Poles very well may just be, hey, putting this team in the best situation and going to let whatever trade work itself out when you get to the point. But then you get people that, of course, because of how they've either hung their hats on one side of the number one overall pick argument, have kind of now become rationalized, right? And radicalized is the word, not rationalized. They're actually not being rational. Radicalized. And you have things like this clip.
This is Ryan Poles. I was inquiring about whether or not you'd want Justin Fields. Oh, jeez.
Shot or no shot, Justin Fields will just end up getting released.
At this point in time, at 8:08, that is likely to be a shot. I'm just saying that the phrase, I'm going to try to do right by Justin Fields, that's getting more and more difficult.
I'm going to say no shot on that one. I don't think this is ideal, but sucking it up, getting through the summer, and waiting for some sort of an injury to happen somewhere, and then trade Justin Fields. This whole thing has become so much more complicated than I thought it was going to be. Do you think at some point, guys, you're just going to have to suck it up and say, we'll take the 5th round pick?
Hey, Baltimore, this is Ryan Poles. I was inquiring about whether or not you'd want Justin Fields. Oh, jeez. Hey, Washington Commanders. Hi, this is Ryan. Philadelphia Eagles, this is Ryan. Damn it. Yo, Matt Nagy, it's Ryan Poles. Hey, listen, I was wondering if you... Hello, this is Ryan Poles, Canadian Football League. I was what?
Hey, send us 5 pounds of fresh walleye, eh?
And while I understand kind of the thought process on it, and I understand the making jokes, believe me here, you guys know we understand more than anyone making jokes here at Chicago Bears Central. It just is kind of in bad taste, right? But, take that away from it. That's neither here nor there. It is what it is. Have the fun that you're going to have, because we're definitely going to have it here, and we're going to have that at some of the expense of the national. Best believe we've kept receipts. So depending on what happens, we got the receipts. Some people are getting these jokes one way or another. But with that said, it's definitely led to that valid conversation that's had around Justin Fields. And so, listen, right now everybody's trying to figure it out. And as we said before, nobody has ever been able to predict what Ryan Poles is doing. That's just the way that it's going. Nobody's been able to guess that. So ultimately, we'll see the way that it works out. And the way what this team has planned for the future of Justin Fields and everyone else involved. I mean, hey, it is what it is there. I really like the way that Ryan Poles has kind of maneuvered through free agency so far. Yes, we've not signed the big name free agents, and that's perfectly fine. Again, you got to understand the game of football. It's not all about having the big names. You need to fill out that depth. But of course, there's still some positions that we're still waiting to see what the Bears are going to do on. We need more depth on that offensive line. Could come in the draft. Some people are definitely kind of starting to freak out a little bit about it. I see you guys in the comments freaking out a little bit about the fact that we haven't addressed the offensive line in the way that they would like yet. Yes, we brought in Bates, and I do think some more moves are coming on that offensive line for sure. But let's keep in mind, we still got tons of caps. Well, we still got enough cap space left, and we still got the draft to get through with trades or whatever happening in that. Ryan Poles I think he's going to figure it out, right? So, but with that said, one of the players that I talked about on yesterday's Daily that, it was rumored that the Bears were interested in was Danielle Hunter. And so he ends up signing a deal worth 2 years, $49 million with the Houston Texans. That $48 million of that is guaranteed per Ian Rappaport. The Bears were never going to pay that type of money, even for a player like Danielle Hunter. So, of course, that is now pivoted to where they have a meeting today with DJ Wonham and things like that. And we'll see what ends up coming out from that. But today marks the day. By 4 p.m. today, teams have to be NFL cap compliant, meaning that the top 51 salary cap hits are all accounted for. Free agent agreements, trades, and post-June June 1st cuts destinations can officially begin today. So there are going to be a lot of cuts coming from teams around the NFL, and this is where a lot of teams are going to really start being a little bit even more aggressive, because at 4 p.m. today, the market is going to get flooded with a lot of players that people are already kind of expecting to be cut. But this is where if trades aren't finalized by now, they don't have trades in place for some players that maybe they were looking to try to trade, those players may end up getting cut today just to make room for those top 51 salary cap hits that teams are going to have. So it's going to be really interesting to see how today kind of maneuvers around. And we'll probably have a video out shortly thereafter that to kind of see how things kind of go. We'll keep me doing the nightlies as well, so stay tuned in for that. But this is going to be an interesting day for it. And the way that Ryan Poles has kind of maneuvered the cap so far, yeah, the Bears had a lot of cap space. I told you guys that the Bears were not likely to go after a lot of the big names. Now, that the way they structured the contracts, it did open them up to get at least one big contract in here, and that's still a possibility. But it just because it's a possibility doesn't mean that it's likely. And that has left some Bears fans really wondering what the hell is going to happen with this. So, even the Jonathan Owens deal, right? 2 years in that deal, it's only a cap hit of $2.25 million this first year. So, that again, Ryan Poles has structured these contracts really well right now to put the Bears in a situation to still try to make a swing this year if he can get that one player. We know they made an offer for Gabe Davis, things like that. So wide receiver, edge are still positions that they're kind of looking at. The Danielle Hunter, the fact that did not go down, like I said, Ryan Poles was never going to pay that type of money when you do have dynamic edge rushers in this draft that you can add on a rookie scale salary. Yeah, they're not the guaranteed thing that a Danielle Hunter is, but they're not as old. You're going to be able to get a chance to get a blue chip guy in there at that edge position that you can grow, that you can develop, and that you can keep on a cost control contract at least through that first 4 years. And then you see what happens with the 5th year option if you extend them and things like that. So, it's again, Ryan Poles kind of playing playing chess in a lot of ways, whereas some Bears fans, understandably so, because they just want to see this team be at the level that they want to see it at, are more so thinking, let's make this immediate move. You got to have a methodical approach through free agency, and the Bears have done that so far, even though I know, like I said, see a lot of Bears fans that try to paint these moves as bad. The Bears have made solid moves in this offseason, and let's see how they're going to continue to build this out. But that knockout punch, as far as moves or home run hit, that hit may not come to the draft if the Bears knock it out at the draft. And so, you got to kind of wait and see how these things are gonna go over. We know that the Bears sent a lot of people down to Oregon to see that pro day. We'll see what that means for Jackson Powers Johnson and things like that. I know it's kind of been painted as Bo Nix. Come on now. Do we really think the Bears are sending all those people down there for Bo Nix? I mean, anything's possible. Yeah, it is Ryan Poles. Like I said, you never know exactly what he's going to do, but we'll see what this team has planned going forward. But with that said, we're now in day 3 of free agency. And I want to talk about some of the best free agents remaining at positions of need for the Chicago Bears. Like we did yesterday, we're probably going to do this every day this week. First up that I do want to talk about, because we do know that the Bears did make that offer to Gabe Davis, Calvin Ridley is definitely one that can be on the Bears board today. Now, I know Calvin Ridley's not a perfect prospect by any stretch of the imagination. A lot of people don't think that the Bears should go after him, but we don't know exactly what the Bears are going to do in the draft, and because they did offer a wide receiver one, Calvin Ridley you can do a lot worse than. 6'1", 190 pounds, over 1,000 yards receiving last year, 13.4 yards per reception in that time, 8 touchdowns as well. This is a guy who's at 29 years old, kind of fits what they've done so far in free agency, and still leaves you the chance to go after one of those wide receivers in this draft, absolutely. So Calvin Ridley, I don't think would preclude the Chicago Bears from being able to go after or draft a wide receiver. It would just add that depth to that wide receiver room. A wide receiver room which lost Darnell Mooney. EQ St. Brown probably isn't expected to be back, right? So we need some talent in that wide receiver room. So bringing in a Calvin Ridley would definitely help that. Another one is Marquise Brown. I know I talked about him a little bit. Not going to go in super detail with that again. From the Arizona Cardinals, 574 yards receiving last year, 4 touchdowns. This is a guy who's 26 years old, younger side, 5'9" and 180. Could fill in that Darnell Mooney role while you do go out and get you your number 2 wide receiver in the draft. So he's definitely somebody that I think can be on the Bears board today as well. And then we still got that defensive tackle position that could be open. Talked about DJ Reader yesterday. He's still on the board here, and I do think that he's another guy that the Bears could absolutely take a look at that defensive tackle position. He can help tremendously there for the Bears. Sheldon Rankins is another one that's out there for the Bears, former Houston Texan as well. I think this is a guy who also can drastically help the Chicago Bears at that defensive tackle position. It doesn't, it won't necessarily hurt the progression of a Javon Dexter and things like that, but it does get you a guy in the building who is kind of a more, not a sure thing, but more solid. 29 years old, 6 sacks last year, 1 forced fumble. Again, adding that depth to the defensive line that we know that Eric Washington likes to have, as he likes to rotate that defensive line in and out of there. So those are guys kind of in that defensive tackle position that I really do like for the Chicago Bears. Now, as far as edge positions, there's still a lot of quality edges out there as well for the Chicago Bears. DJ Wonnum, who the Bears are meeting with today. I don't know if we're going to get a deal announced, even if they do strike or come to terms on that one. Jadeveon Clowney's another one out there. He's a talent, don't get me wrong, and you can bring him in. He can definitely help that edge position, but at that point, I'd kind of rather go kind of one of the young guys in the draft, in my personal opinion. But again, he's an edge out there. If you are looking for edges, he's a guy that can come into this team. He's 31 years old, though, but still had 9.5 sacks last year, 2 forced fumbles. So again, another solid piece for you while you maybe develop a younger guy if you maybe get an edge later in the draft and don't get an edge at your number 9 position. So he's another guy that could absolutely be out there on the board for the Chicago Bears as well. And then the center position. We know that the Bears are looking for centers. Connor Williams still out there. If he was fully healthy, he probably would have already been signed by now. I know I talked about him a lot. Talked about Tyron Smith as well. He's another guy out there from the Dallas Cowboys. Can offer some depth there at that tackle position. And the one that I talked about a little bit, but I don't know if I went into detail with, at the center position, though, Evan Brown from the Seattle Seahawks, a guy who's played under Shane Waldron's system, he'd be familiar with. That's kind of what we've seen, kind of in line to what they've done before in some areas. So that's another guy that could be on that board for the Chicago Bears. I know I called one of the guys yesterday. I got lucky, y'all. I'm not going to act like I got it all figured out. I got lucky. But hey, these are some guys out there that the Bears could absolutely take a look at. Tyler Boyd's another one that I didn't mention. That's a wide receiver prospect from the Cincinnati Bengals as well, that I think, depending on what the deal is, could really help the Bears. He's 29 years old, 6'2", 203 pounds, 667 yards receiving last year, averaged over 10 yards per reception, 2 touchdowns there. But I think if you're looking for a slot guy and you're getting a wide receiver in this draft, he can do very well for you for the Chicago Bears. So he's another guy that's a prospect for the Bears that they absolutely could take a look at as well. So there's more than enough. Mekhi Brown is another one that I talked about yesterday. That's an offensive tackle from the Eagles that definitely can add some depth there. Trent Brown from the Patriots. So there's really a lot of the positions that we need are out there. But Chase Young, right? I want to take some time before we leave to focus on Chase Young. And I think that the Chase Young situation could very well play out much like the unique Ngakoue situation, at least in free agency. Chase Young is a guy who we haven't really heard a whole heck of a lot of interest in him out there in the free agent market, despite having 7.5 sacks last year and only being 24 years old. I do think that if the Bears evaluate it, right, and I'm not saying that this is something that could be pressing, but if the Bears evaluate it and say, hey, maybe with the number 9, we're going to trade down, we're going to get a Jackson Powers Johnson in here or something like that by trading down, whatever it is, and we may not get that edge that we could have gotten with the number 9 overall. Chase Young could offer a high risk, high reward player. Again, I said high risk because it is high risk that it doesn't work out, and maybe you kick that can down the road and then maybe take a look at edges next year. Because you can get a 24-year-old guy in who's played with Montez Sweat before. When he's healthy, you know exactly what Chase Young does, and that's get to quarterback. So I think that Chase Young could be a potential here for the Chicago Bears, but I think it's going to have to be on the Bears' terms if they do that. Ryan Poles, when he'll take shots at guys with some injury history, but it's going to be a controlled one, and I don't think it's going to be more than a 1 or 2 year deal if you do end up bringing Chase Young in here. But I do think that as this free agency continues going, if he does not get those deals elsewhere, Chase Young could be a guy that the Bears could get on a reasonable contract. It's not going to be a completely team-friendly contract, but I think it's going to be more reasonable than what it would be if he's fully healthy. You can offer a situation so he has some familiarity, again, with Montez Sweat there. You can sell him on what this defense is turning. This is an opportunity for him to prove that he can stay healthy and then sign a larger contract. Even if he signs a 2-year deal, you're looking at him being back on the market by 26 years old. He can still get a sizable offer. Again, that's if he strikes out in free agency and a team doesn't take a chance on him. So that's kind of the thought process there. But let me know what you guys feel as always. You guys know when news drops, we drop here at Chicago Bears Central. So despite the daily episodes, you're still going to get that consistent content all up and down this channel. So make sure you guys stay tuned in. Hit the subscribe button and to add value to that subscription. We'll be giving the daily content as well as the breaking news live streams anytime something happens. And at least during this first week of free agency, you're also getting daily and nightly episodes with the whole team as we break down and recap whatever happened over the day. So follow the channel at Chi Bear Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.